The first, I would like to share with you some practical tips that help you to improve English, especially the speaking, for speaking fast. And I give you only 4 tips, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 tips how to speak in English fastly, to learn English. For example, many people have no problems with writing and reading skills, but when it comes to the speaking, we just feel embarrassed yourself and get stuck. And the first tips, it's learn phrases, not single words. Why I choose these tips? Because some of people, beginners especially, started to learn English with one word. For example, learning separate words is a very common mistake between learners. And of course, it's not, I think it's not an appreciated method to learn any languages, not just English. For example, have you ever wondered why we say, for example, take a picture, not do a picture or make a picture? And sometimes we say do housework, not make housework. It deals with a combination of words, and thinking about what goes before and after the keywords may take time. And also it interrupts you conversation, interrupts you at the conversation at all. And I also want to say that learning phrases seems like the smart way. And since you are familiar with the word chain, you may speak naturally and automatically, so your communication may go more smoothly, and it will take you less time to think if you learn phrases instead of words. For example, also learning phrases helps avoid mistranslating. It happens when learners just learn words and put them together and following the order in their own languages, for example. And how to learn phrases. You should, for example, I take the notes of the phrase and sticking them somewhere and in front of my eyes, and it's also good for remembering and seeing the phrases every day. It's in front of my eyes. It's also good for improve my memory. Even when you or we don't deeply learn them. And this, it's okay. And the second, I would like to say, is don't study grammar too much. Why I want to say? Because it means that focus on fluency instead of grammar. I know some people who know grammar very well, but when it comes to the speaking, they don't speak, for example, well. And for example, I know also Turkish language. I started to learn it from the grammar, of course, but I I can say that I don't know a lot of other grammars in Turkish, but I know I can speak fluently in Turkish because I started to speak. I started to speak and don't use the grammar. When, for example, yesterday I passed the exam in Turkish language to want to know what kind of level I have in Turkish. Even I don't know some grammar rules, but I passed the exam, passed in the Turkish language very well in level B2, because I think we should, some of people who knows, for example, grammars very well, they afraid of making mistakes when they speak, I think. And also focusing too much on grammar stop us from opening our mouths to speak, because the fear of losing the face also makes I think us nervous and it's all when we start to speak, for example. And for example, my teacher always tell us never afraid of to speak incorrectly. Speak and speak. When you start to speak, it's help you to learn or to be fluently in any languages, not only in English. You can speak and what I can say. And I can say the grammar doesn't help studying English. Just you can know the rules, how it's to be right in writing, for example, in passing the test. It's good for you grammar, but not speaking. It doesn't help you. And the third tips, it's also, if everybody knows about it, it's listen to more English. For example, if you want to improve, for example, your English speaking, we should more listen to rather than reading, and to learn with our ears, not with the eyes. For example, and when you listen to correct English, sometimes then they stay, for example, if you in your memory, and then you will be able to, for example, build similar sentences yourself easily. For example, what I do when I start to learn English. For example, I like listen to music. I have, for example, I like I take my favorite song and started to listen to with the headphones, and started take the white paper and started like dictation. For example, the song is singing, I started to listen to and started like dictation, and like this I learned a lot of words and a lot of phrases with the song. Also, I like watching TV shows. Like, do you know the Extra English? It's a good program for, also it's for beginners, for who has an intermediate, maybe upper intermediate level. It's also good for speaking, for listening the really native speakers' speech. It's also you can have you can learn by heart a lot of new words from this program. Also, sometimes I watch, try to listen to famous people, the show, I forget the name, the show, interview shows, for example, like also I have the program in it's a question.
Go ahead.
No. Do you listen? It's okay. And also the next tip is talk to yourself. It's also, it was self-practice plays a big an important role in our when we learning a foreign languages. It's also not only English. You can also do this, use these tips in other languages. When you, for example, you learn the Russian, also you can use these talks. How to talk yourself. For example, there are a lot of ways. You can choose the most common situation in your daily life. For example, you can talk about hobbies, your jobs, favorite song, everything. What do you like? And when you are at home alone, you should be alone at home, because if someone saw how you talk yourself, I think it's shows like strange. And you should be at home alone and stand in front of mirror and try to speak, to practice yourself. For example, like someone asks you a question, you can want to ask to try to speak in English. And also it would be good if you use the body languages. It's also it's a practice like in our when I studied at college. Our teacher is very well, and they always give us like these tips. Try to practice yourself to speak, and also when you see how you speak, you can see your mistakes, what kind of mistakes you made in your speech. Also, the second, also the tips, you can record your voice on a telephone. I forget the in English dictaphone. In Russian, dictaphone it means. Record your voice, and after give some speech in English. For example, the sentence, tell about your hobby, and listen to your voice, how you speak in English, to correct some of words you speak incorrectly, and you can also correct yourself in these tips. And and the last tips. And the last tips is the talk with real life humans. What does it mean? It's like this. So for example, now we speak to each other is the real people, and also it also like joining the English clubs like this, and speaking with make the friends with foreigners. And for example, native speakers or foreigners who know English better than you, it's a very good practice for you, because they can how to say they can give you advice if you had made a mistake, and correct you, because they know better than you. Also you should like make it like habit to speak every day in your life. And if you what to say, I think just in every situation, every steps, you shouldn't afraid of make mistakes. Just should speak and speak. Because, for example, I like when foreigners people when they have accent, their accent in, for example, speaking Russian, I like it when they speak in Russian. But some of, for example, maybe you embrace it that you speak with accent. But for us, it's I think it's great. For example, when I started to speak also Turkish, I have a big accent with Turkish language, but Turkish people always say, "Oh, I like your accent. You speak very beautifully in our languages, and speak a lot." And when I start, and after this, the first, of course, at first, I also have a little shy to speak in English also, in Turkish, but when I started to speak, it's like good and well practiced to speak. And that's all. And I just want to say, practice makes how to say, perfect. And that's all. Thank you for paying attention. That's all.
So much, Anat, for what you
Thank you
shared.
so much.
Thank you for listening to. This is the link. I
Okay,
want to
while
give
you
this
were doing
links. Mm-hmm.
all right, so thank you, Saltanat, for that
Thank you for
great
listening to me.
presentation. Yeah, with what you shared, it makes me want to, I'm sure it made everybody want to practice some new things or got reminded of, oh, I've not been doing this, so I think I should do it again. And some of the things that I really appreciate with your talk is not to focus on grammar too much. Like we are practicing Russian and there's so many grammars, grammar rule, but when the young kids here in Kazakhstan, they don't know these things, but yet they know how to speak
For example,
fluently.
in our Kazakh who, for example, we have two classes, two schools for Russian, for Kazakh, but who study in Kazakh class, they know also Russian because we don't learn, for example, grammar. We just speak with Russian people, and like this, we know. When we started to speak, and we know that it should be like this, not like this, because we just started to speak and know how to use Russian phrases, words in correct order.
I tried my Russian language, but my father didn't understand me because he's a Russian language and history teacher in Brisbane University.
History.
But I'm so bad. Yeah, he's my father. He's an Australian.
Just
So
try to.
let's continue our program.
It starts from
Thank you again.
very easy words and getting the hard words.
So bad to say Dobrota.
Добро пожаловать.
Dobrota Solda. I only know some words from Captain America, Civil War, when they active the Winter Soldier, Bucky Barnes.
All right.
You know that film, I think.
Coach who will make a feedback to the presentation of Saltanat, that would be Coach JR. Coach JR, can you please share your positive affirmations and constructive suggestions about the presentation of Saltanat?
Okay, so again, I hope you can hear me properly. So thank you so much, Saltanat, for sharing your thoughts. And I personally, I'm impressed with your biodata. if that's the terminology, it's something to do with your something to do with your what you've already achieved. So in terms of acquiring different languages, especially Turkish language. But yeah, anyway, thank you so much for that, and also for your slides that is really on the point. That means you can all directly tell what you want to say to your audience. And yeah, we felt the nervousness. So because it's really obvious with even I experienced that. So even though I have lots of practice of speaking with many people, but anyway, so it's a good thing, I believe, because it makes you humble, and somehow it will helps you to it will help you to be always prepared. And if there will be someone who will ask from your audience a question, so at least you will be prepared. So something that I want to share also in terms of something you need to develop, so maybe I will just give one in terms of repeating the words that you've already said. So I believe that, yeah, you said you are an English teacher, and I believe that you are already somehow in a B2 or C1 level of in English proficiency. In that case, I want you to practice and how do you say that? Paraphrasing, uh, without so that you can avoid redundancy. So without repeating the same words that you said already from the previous paragraphs and then repeating it again. So if it's really important, so at least you can use paraphrasing or or how to say that, synonymizing the words so that it will showcase also your command in English speaking, like that. So, but generally, so I love the point. Is that the third point? Talking to yourself. So yeah, since I was a child, I was talking to myself until now, but I'm still normal. Yeah. So thank you so much for that. And I want also to call Coach Ami. She will give
Yes.
you also some.
Thank you, Coach JR. Hello, Saltanat. Uh, First of all, thank you for taking that courageous, that bold step to speak in our live talks. You shared earlier that this is your first time to speak in a large audience.
Yes.
And I can definitely relate with you in that it's really nerve-wracking, you know, I can definitely relate about being nervous when you're about to speak in front of a large crowd, but you did it. So good job.
Thank you.
Yeah. Some of the good points in your speech, which I noticed, were first, it was straightforward. And second, it was also practical. I like the fact that you shared tips. Yeah, per each point you shared, you elaborated by sharing tips based on your experience. So, and as for the points for improvement, it's just a one. I think it would be good for for the next speeches that you're gonna have, because I believe this is the first, but this speech will definitely not be the last, because you have a lot to share to others. So just a point of improvement for the succeeding speeches would be to include an introduction and a conclusion. It would be good to include an introduction so that you're able to connect and get your audience attention at the beginning of the speech. And it would be good to also include a conclusion in the end, so to signal your audience that you're about to wrap up and to summarize the entire speech. But all in all, it was really good, a really good presentation. Thank you
Thank
for
you.
sharing
Thank
your
you.
knowledge with us.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you, coaches, for those feedbacks and suggestions, affirmations. Maybe for me, one thing only, Saltanat, they already mentioned it, but it's a good tip, not just for you, but for everyone. When you are going to speak, the first impression matters. So I know you were nervous, it was your first time, so it's a good time to learn. So everybody, when you stand on a stage or when you are on a Zoom meeting and you're going to present, don't apologize. Oh, sorry, I did not prepare, or sorry, this is my first time, because you would lose the attention of some people. So, Saltanat, your presentation, we would never have known that it was your first time because it was excellently delivered. You were comfortable, so very good.
Thank
So
you.
for now, we are going to have our breakout sessions. Please take a screenshot of these two questions of this screen. So when we go out and have a breakout session, we will be answering and discussing and processing the things that we have learned from our talk. Thank you. So if you're done with the screenshot, can you make a thumbs up?